I want to welcome in Georgia Congressman Rich McCormick. Congressman, great to have you on this morning. So nearly 19 million people have voted nationwide already. Reports are showing that Republicans are showing up with enthusiasm to vote early. That's something that hasn't always been the case with the GOP. What are you seeing and hearing from your constituents in Georgia?
Everybody caught on to the fact that if you wait till Election Day, it's going to be long lines. It's going to discourage certain people. Getting to vote early, as it turns out, is a pretty good deal. You don't have the long lines, and you get to get in there and see who's out there, who's excited, who's talking. In my district, I think we're well over a third, just a week into it, and now we're probably approaching about 50% of the voters. That's incredible. That means we're going to have probably close to a record turnout on voting day when you total all the voters completely. And I think this is a really good sign for the Republican Party. I think Donald Trump's going to win Georgia handily, and I'm excited about it.
So we're seeing a lot of new polls coming out. Again, just 13 days to go. The former president is ahead in the latest poll put out yesterday by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Of course, that's the biggest newspaper in the state. Trump up by 4 points, 47% to 43%. But on Monday, a Washington Post Sharla poll released found Harris ahead by 4 points. From what you're experiencing in Georgia, which poll is more accurate?
I think it's definitely going to be Trump, at least by 2. That's my prediction. I'm calling it today. You can put it on the mark. And I'm excited about it. There is so much excitement right now. I don't think Harris brings anything to the table right now. She's been wrong, upside down on border, crime, debt, energy, education, all the things that matter to people, the things that unite the Republicans, divide the Democrats. This should be a good year for us in Georgia, for sure.
Yeah, you talk about things that matter to people, and I know that he will be holding a massive rally today in Duluth, Georgia, there just outside of Atlanta. What message, with 13 days out, does he really need to hammer home with voters there?
Well, he's been very specific. He stated himself, there are very few undecideds. The question is, how do we get the people out to vote? How do we make sure they don't get overwhelmed by their daily routines? Making sure that they turn out early, making sure you get them to the polls, making sure those people who are dedicated to the process don't allow somebody not to vote because they didn't make time for it. Mm-hmm. That's what's really important right now.
And I know just north of Georgia in North Carolina, parts were absolutely devastated by Hurricane Helene. Trump was there yesterday. He spoke about the government's response. Take a listen.
And when I'm president, North Carolina will get the support you need and deserve, and that is without question. Because you didn't get the proper support from this administration. They didn't have any money left for North Carolina. That's not the way it's supposed to work, or other places, by the way.
Yeah, Georgia also hit very hard by Helene, with some residents not even getting their power turned back on until this past week. Are there some Georgia residents also feeling abandoned by the federal government with their slow response to help? And how does that affect this election?
Absolutely, especially when you consider how many people have come into this country illegally, without a sovereign border. They invited in here to soak up our resources. Now, when we need the resources, they're gone. That's a check they wrote they should have never wrote, and they're going to pay the price at the polls. I'm pretty sure in North Carolina they're having the same kind of turnout. They have people finding a way to the polls despite the horrible conditions. They are motivated people to show up and make them pay the price for their misgivings.
Yeah, I want you to elaborate on that a little bit, because there has been all of this controversy and talk when it comes to the money that is not there anymore, and FEMA essentially running out of money because the money that they were able to give 2 years ago to the migrants when they started coming in. Just tell me a little bit more about that.
There's no way we shouldn't have enough money. This isn't an unusual year for hurricanes. There's an unusual year for damage. It's because they pilfered the system with monies that should have been reserved for American citizens, and instead are used on illegal invaders, people who have come here by invitation to soak up. They can't work, they can't pay taxes, but they are going to soak up everything they need for food, for health care, for shelter, you name it, all on the taxpayer's dollar. Because why? They want to adjust the way we vote. They want to create new districts. They want to rearrange the way we run our house right now. And I think it's absolutely overreached by the way they're trying to warp our system and take over government so they can be king of the ashes.
Yeah, absolutely. Congressman Rich McCormick, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
All right, stay with us. Much more.